Well, I completely forgot to pull up the chats over here, so bear with me a second. Okay. Hope everybody's having a good Monday, starting your week off right. So that's the cover of the day. So hope you'll stick around. I believe afterwards, at least what I'm planning as of right now, is we're going to end the show and we're going to switch over to Kick and Rumble and do a I wonder if you can hear that, and do a small show reacting to a piece 60 Minutes put out. I believe that's the tentative plan, just depending on time and such. Sorry it's taken me forever. I normally have this done by now. Okay. Alright, yeah. Here we go. So yeah, that's the plan. We're going to have the regular show. We're going to sign off, and then we're going to switch over to only Rumble and Kick afterwards. And we're going to look at the 60 Minutes segment and have some fun with that. I just don't want to deal with possible copyright issues on the regular show. It doesn't seem worth it to me. So we're going to have episode 102.5 after, and we'll look at the madness going on over at 60 Minutes these days. That's all it can be described as. But yeah, today is Monday, May 4th, 2026. This is episode number 102 of Addressing the Issues, or C11 if you're Ilhan Omar. We've got the edited version. I think today will be the last day of the fun balloons. Yeah, look, congrats globalists and the C11, which to my knowledge isn't a military aircraft, but in all likelihood it was, is, or will be one at some point or another. Yeah, happy May the 4th for all you Star Wars fans out there. Hope you guys are, doing whatever you do on like Star Wars Day or whatnot. I'm not a big fan of Star Wars, I'll say it. And then they made it even worse when they wokeified it. So it's like, why would I ever pay attention to that? Makes no sense to me. But yeah, I changed the audio a little bit. Let me know if it's any better today. I was told a couple of times that the levels were low, so I switched some things around in the settings, and maybe it's a little bit better today. Hopefully I'm not blown out with peaking and stuff, but it seems like it's good right now. I hope it's good, because I guess it's just too late to fix anything else today. But yeah, today we're going to be looking at this war in Iran. Once again, we have Project Freedom underway today in the Strait of Hormuz, a use of U.S. ships to protect trading vessels throughout the Strait of Hormuz. The description is rather open-ended. We're not sure if they are escorting these just are in the area defending them. But it's been less than 24 hours since this Project Freedom started, and it seems that Iran has not taken it too kindly. Multiple ships have been hit by drones today, namely the JV Innovation was hit by a drone. The HMM Namu was hit by an explosive. Whether that be a drone or missile, I guess has not been determined. But it was hit by an explosive, possibly even a mine, a sea mine. But we are, I guess, not informed entirely as to what that was. You have the Fujairah Petroleum Industry Zone in the UAE was hit by what was claimed to be a drone. Apparently it injured 3 Indian nationals in this drone strike at the petroleum zone, a port used to export petroleum by the UAE. It was actually on the far side, the Indian Ocean side of the Strait of Hormuz, meaning that this was one of the few that was not entirely impacted by the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. Now it is. Now it's been hit by a drone, injuring 3 people. And the U.S. has claimed that it has sunk 6 more small Iranian ships as a response. In all likelihood, I'd believe that these were probably mine-laying ships. Probably not the fishermen. They probably were not fishermen, believe it or not. I still can't believe people believe that fishermen lie, but in the wake of all this, Iran has once again declared the Strait of Hormuz completely closed. This was broadcast over ships' radios, the international hailing frequency, or channel, they went on there and said the Strait of Hormuz is completely closed due to actions by the U.S. And this is why I'd assume that ships have started being targeted in the Strait of Hormuz. But it looks like Project Freedom hasn't been as successful as one would hope. It's resulted in hostilities between, I guess, Iran and the U.S. and the UAE. UAE's Ministry of Defense released a statement. It says the UAE air defense systems engaged 12 ballistic missiles, 3 cruise missiles, and 4 UAVs. The Ministry of Defense announced that on Monday, May 4th, 2026, the UAE air defense systems engaged 12 ballistic missiles, 3 cruise missiles, and 4 UAVs launched from Iran, resulting in 3 moderate injuries. Since the beginning of the blatant Iranian attacks on the United Arab Emirates, the air defenses have engaged a total of 549 ballistic missiles, 29 cruise missiles, and 2,260 UAVs. This brings the total number of injuries to 227, involving individuals of various nationalities. Total number of martyrs has reached 3, including 1 civilian of Moroccan nationality contracted with the armed forces, while the total number of civilian fatalities stands at 10 from various nationalities. The Ministry of Defense affirmed that it remains fully prepared and ready to deal with any threats and will firmly confront anything that aims to undermine the security of the country in a manner that ensures the protection of its sovereignty, security, and stability, and safeguards its interest and national capabilities. President Trump has also released his own statement, which I'll read now. Iran has taken some shots at unrelated nations with respect to ship movement. Project Freedom, including a South Korean cargo ship. Perhaps it's time for South Korea to come and join the mission. We've shot down seven small boats, so it's now 7, according to President Trump. Or as they like to call them, fast boats. It's all they have left. Other than the South Korean ship, there has been, at this moment, no damage going through the strait. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Dan Kane will have a news conference tomorrow morning. Thank you for your attention to this matter. News conference tomorrow morning. We'll read Lindsey Graham's response, everybody's favorite senator, here in a second. What do you think this news conference tomorrow morning is going to be about? It's been rumored that the U.S. will have a response within the next 24 hours. What do you think this news conference tomorrow morning is going to be about? It's probably not going to be I don't know, maybe we come to an agreement. I doubt it. I doubt it after this. What options are on the table? Well, there's walk away after this and have the reputation loss of a closed Strait of Hormuz, losing in this asymmetrical warfare that we have engaged Iran in. That is one option. The other option is a response of equal proportion, maybe firing what was it, about 15, I guess about 20 different missiles into Iran. That would be another option for a proportionate response. There's the option of going overboard and completely trying to overwhelm them once again and risk invoking a third, or I guess second from Iran, third attack in total during this ceasefire, this, I don't know what to call it, cooling off period, I guess you could say. I think this one may be the most likely. And then there's obviously the fourth option, a ground invasion somewhere, whether that be mainland Iran, whether it to be what I think would be most likely if we take this option, trying to get Greater and Lesser Tomb and whatever that third disputed island between UAE and Iran is. That's probably the most likely option if we want to go the ground route, combined with air support, obviously. And we're prepared for it. We've, like I said last week, started moving hypersonic missiles to the region. We've got more troops than I believe were there at the outset of the Iraq War, meaning there's plenty of manpower. They've all been moved into that area. Is that what the press conference is going to be about? That we have put boots on the ground in either Iran or these disputed territories? Possibly. But knowing Trump the way I see him, I don't think he's one for a proportionate response. I think he's going to go overboard and try and overwhelm Iran. And do we think that's a great idea, given what we've seen? I would argue no, but that's completely, I guess, up to him, because the people have been left out of this conversation the entire way through. If you asked anybody, they'd say, we probably don't want $4 gas. We probably shouldn't be worried about fertilizer this year. I don't know. What issue are you addressing? Well, we haven't even gotten to the main part yet, but there's a lot of knock-on effects going on of this war, and probably we're not in a stellar position to start with. We're just getting into what was happening today, and then we'll tie it into what's going on in agriculture, because I don't think many people are aware of what's about to go down. Lots of people around the world see the writing on the wall, but we don't. Are you AI? I am Allen Iverson. Yes, I'm Allen Iverson. So Lindsey Graham's response to this message from the president. He says, "Spot on, Mr. President. The combination of Iran's attack against UAE's vital infrastructure and continued attacks on international shipping, including a South Korean cargo ship, more than justifies a big, strong, short response to inflict further damage on Iran's war machine. The UAE has been a champion ally in this fight, doing everything that's been being asked of them and beyond. Iran's recent brazen attack against the UAE tells me a lot about who's in charge in Iran and the chance of a diplomatic solution anytime soon. A forceful response on behalf of our ally, UAE, will reinforce that America is back as a reliable ally, helping to further wash away the damage caused by the Biden administration on this front. If there's anybody who loves war like Benjamin Netanyahu, it is Lindsey Graham. I mean, it's funny, President Trump spent all day today carefully not saying that there was going to be a response. And then Lindsey Graham just comes out and says, we need to, a big, strong, and short response. I don't know how it's big and short, but I guess he's talking about proportion of weapons in short time. Lindsey Graham is not beating any of the allegations. What are you Sure, yeah. To answer your question, why not? Yeah, Lindsey Graham is something else. He would do anything to send the children of America into the Middle East to fight a war. I don't know if that's what gets him off, aside from walking around Disney with his pink wand, but let's just exacerbate these issues of oil price being over $100, gasoline price at the pumps nationwide is over $4. I wonder what that is right now. Let's find out. Let's see what AAA says. Yeah. $4.46, which is up, 16 cents since the last time we checked it last week, before the weekend. Apparently the American people's opinions on these things do not matter, because if you were to be told gas is going to be through the roof, $4.36, you'd probably say, no, this probably isn't worth it. Compounded by the fact that it's going to shorten the fertilizer supply, which is an absolute nightmare right now, and we're going to get into that right now. So let me see if I can find what I needed. Okay. Our food situation is looking very bad going into this summer, this spring particularly. What's going on? It's being reported that 1 in 4 American farmers have no fertilizer for spring planting this year. Obviously, everyone knows that you need fertilizer to grow your crops. You've got Forbes reporting 70% of farmers can't afford to grow all their crops, meaning some have no fertilizer, some can't afford to grow them. And this is compounded by a national drought. I'll read some of those reports here in a second, because I was just fishing through from the last 7 days. And is this the right link? A lot of America's farmland is under, if not a moderate drought, a severe drought. Let's look into this. That's the livestock one, which is also an issue. Let's see, row crops. This is where I wanted to start. So, every single crop in America is affected by a drought at this point. barley production, 63% of area used for barley production is affected by drought. 25% of corn production, 98% of cotton production, 12% of durum wheat production. That's our best number, only 12%. 100% of peanut production, 86% of rice production, 87% of sorghum production, 27% of soybean production, 18% of spring wheat production, 28% of sugar beet production, 95% of sugarcane production, 12% of sunflower production, and 69% of winter wheat production is affected by drought. And they have no fertilizer, or at least not enough, and they can't afford to plant everything. Let's look at livestock and forage. 86% of alfalfa hay acreage is affected by a drought. 61% of cattle inventory is affected by a drought. 57% of hay inventory is affected by a drought. 27% of hog inventory is affected by a drought. 32% of milk cow inventory is affected by a drought. And 54% of sheep inventory is affected by a drought. I mean, the only upside of this is that we finally looked at the big beef cartels, which are spiking cost for consumers in America. You've got foreign influence actually driving up these prices. And finally, like I said, there's an antitrust push from the Department of Justice into this Big Four beef cartel, which has driven up prices. But all these things are going to add up onto the consumer. Obviously, when there's less supply and there's still the same amount of demand for food, we're not just going to start starving ourselves. There's going to be a problem in pricing. Price of all this is going to go up. Even if you break up these beef cartels, you're still going to have to buy vegetables, which I guess a quarter of just aren't going to show up this year, which should ring alarm bells for everybody. Sorry, I've got so many tabs open. But it's everything. It's everything. It's the Southeast. It's the... What do they call this region? High Plains. Both are absolutely terrible. The South is bad as well. Texas area, Louisiana, Arkansas. I mean, it's everything. Everything's being impacted by this drought. Everything is being even more so impacted by lack of fertilizer coming out of the Strait of Hormuz, jacking the prices up on that, on already broke farmers who are selling off farmland like no other time in history, just closing up shop. And this isn't being told to you because they don't want you to panic. You should be panicking. If you knew how bad this was, you would be up in arms that this is going to drive us to bread lines in the future. But if the media doesn't tell you about it, it'll just be a surprise, a very unpleasant surprise when it actually starts affecting your trip to the grocery store. But yeah, let's look at some of these reports from farmers. I picked, like I said, 4 from the last 7 days throughout all these locations. high plains, southeast sectors of farming. This one is out of Kimball, Nebraska. This was 3 days ago. It asks, how wet or dry is it? Severely dry. How much experience do you have with conditions there? 20 or more years. How many times in the past have you ever seen it like this? Never. How localized or widespread are the conditions you are reporting? 100 square miles. Crop conditions. Very poor, extreme degree of loss to yield potential, complete or near crop failure. Planting status, later than normal. Harvest status, earlier than normal. Meaning they're shortening the grow season. This will shorten the grow season because of the drought which is happening. Meaning there's going to be less yield, just as this farmer describes. Extreme degree of loss to yield potential, complete or near crop failure. Never seen anything like this in 20 years. We'll move on to South Carolina, Barnwell, South Carolina. This one was from a week ago, right on 7 days now. How wet or dry is it? Severely dry. How much experience do you have with the conditions there? 10 to 20 years. How many times in the past have you seen it like this? Never. How localized or widespread are the conditions you're reporting? Dry conditions seem to be the same in numerous locations. Crop planting has been halted until we receive precipitation. Dryland crops already planted will be lost if there isn't any rain soon. Crop conditions, poor, heavy degree of loss of yield potential, which can be caused by excess soil moisture, drought, disease, etc. We'll move on to the next one. Greenbrier, West Virginia. This one was from yesterday. How wet or dry is it? Severely dry. How much experience do you have with the conditions there? 20 or more years. How many times in the past have you seen it like this? Never. Range conditions, very poor. Pastures provide very little or no feed. Supplemental feeding is required to maintain livestock condition. Livestock production, reduced pasture forage, feeding hay early, supplemental feed, purchased hay, decreased stock weights, animal stress, less water in ponds, creeks, etc., erosion. We'll move on to Sabine, Louisiana. This one was from a week ago. It says, how dry or wet is it? Severely dry. How much experience do you have with the conditions there? 20 or more years. How many times in the past have you seen it like this? Never. How localized or widespread are the conditions you're reporting? Parish-wide. Range conditions, very poor. Pastures provide very little or no feed. Supplemental feeding is required to maintain livestock condition. Livestock production, reduced pasture forage, feeding hay early, supplemental feed, decreased stock weights, animal stress, less water in ponds, creeks, etc. Sold livestock. Not only in 20 years of working in farming for most of these people, one is at the bare minimum worked his land for 10 years, all report it as severely dry, and they've never seen anything like this. Poor yields in crops, reduced weight and stress in livestock, having to buy feed, start their finish feeding early, meaning that these animals are never going to grow to the size which they could be. And then in the last case, had to sell off his livestock. Completely done. Weather's so bad, conditions are so bad, I'm out. I had to quit. 20 years of experience. I'm out. And these are the people that make your food. What goes to your grocery store. Are you worried yet? 1 in 4 farmers haven't even bought fertilizer this year. If the climate control agenda didn't work before, reducing your carbon footprint, well, reducing your food definitely will. Remember, the AI data centers, I was like, we need to cut back on electricity. And then all of a sudden, it was that in Davos earlier this year, World Economic Forum, they decide, that was never really a good idea. What we need is AI. And now people are reporting increases of double-digit temperatures around these data centers. And global warming is out of the question entirely. It was never about that. It's about control. It's all about control, and what is the easiest way to control you? Mass surveillance and reducing your food definitely will. If convincing you through climate change didn't work, well, we'll just stop the food. We'll stop the food and we'll put you under surveillance. We'll control how much you have. We'll control your money. That'll work. This war was never about a nuclear program. It was about control. Iran couldn't be controlled. The global banks had no control over them. The only way that this could happen to everybody is attacking Iran. It's like Libya. Remember when Gaddafi tried to make a African economy and then he gets deposed and killed? Now it's Iran. And what do we get as a return on investment in this? Well, we get no fertilizer, possibly famine around the world. You've got Chef Jose Andres warning of a multi-year world famine due to the Iran war. He's the World Central Kitchen founder. He cites the fertilizer trade being the main issue because you need fertilizer to grow all of these crops that aren't growing because it's already dry. You can't even get fertilizer into the places where the rain is falling. They aren't in moderate to severe drought. I mean, it doesn't look good. There's also a report coming out. A guy filed a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, request on his own property. And what comes back is a drone video of his own personal vegetable garden. He's labeled suspected food production. They are labeling people with suspected food production on their own property. Well, why would they do that? Well, because if they cut off the food, and this guy has a yard full of food, he can't be controlled. They're making changes in states across the U.S., namely Oregon, which is creeping up and not allowing you to produce food at all, making you file as a farmer if you want to have a garden in your yard. It's about control. And there's no better way to control a population than cutting off their food, their way of living, their nourishment. And it's all pointing towards that. It all points that this was never about a nuclear program. It was probably all about control and ensuring that you could make people do what you wanted them to do. Make sure I didn't miss any points from this whole Iran American drought fertilizer shortage. Just a coincidence. Just a coincidence all this is happening at the same time. I promise. It's just a coincidence they're labeling people suspected of producing food. It's just a coincidence when the fertilizer dries up, when the soil dries up. It's got to be just a coincidence that all this happens at the same time. let's see. Did I miss anything on the farming side of things, which is a impending crisis? We've got 70% farmland, suspected food production we've covered. Founder of the World's Central Kitchen thinks that a multi-year famine could break out because of this fertilizer trade. 1 in 4 farmers didn't even buy fertilizer this year. They just knew they were screwed. Couldn't afford it. Now they definitely can't. I mean, look up Drought Monitor, U.S. Drought Monitor. Look at it yourself. It's not a pretty sight. Go to the National Drought Mitigation Center. It's at the University of Nebraska. On their website. You don't have to go all the way to Nebraska. But look at the reports. I mean, farmers have never seen anything like this before. 20 years, never seen anything like it. On top of that, they can't even buy fertilizer. And you think there's going to be just abundance of food in your supermarket? You're crazy. You're crazy. And there's also reports that the U.S. Forest Service and timber companies have been spraying glyphosate, our favorite thing, Roundup, across tens of thousands of acres in national forests for post-wildfire conifer release and vegetation control. Now, I can't explain this to you. The same stuff used to dry wheat is being sprayed over national forests for what is the result going to be? To dry them out even more? I mean, vegetation control. It's all about control. It's all about control. Spraying the whole forest with Roundup. You know what you're not going to be able to do with that forest anymore? Eat anything from it. There'll be no nuts growing, no berries, nothing you can eat. It's full of glyphosate. It's full of Roundup. And don't spray what you're going to eat with Roundup. Now we can't touch that stuff either. I mean, it's all pointing towards one direction. It always does. You've just got to figure out how they're doing it this time. Whether it be a carbon tax or whether it be no food. Artificial intelligence. I mean, it all points back to the same thing. They want to control us. We'll move on. There's some other things I want to talk about. I guess I'll save some of these for another day. There's just so much that needs to be gone over this weekend, or from this weekend today as well. There's, I guess, related to this, Iran offered Trump 1 month to end the war as Iran sees the world facing a tipping point. This is before Project Freedom took place today, in which hostilities were exchanged. I don't think we're taking that anymore. Let's talk about ceasefire negotiations. Associated Press reports that Trump says the U.S. will guide stranded ships from the Strait of Hormuz starting on Monday. That's today. That is this Project Freedom that apparently there's still negotiations going on behind the scenes, and I'm sure they're doing great. Nobody's ever seen negotiations this good before. I mean, that's what we're told, and what we see is at least 9 ships attacked today as a result of this ongoing ceasefire. 7 Iranian, reportedly at least 6, 2 civilian, I guess, civilian vessels, tankers, cargo ships. This is the ceasefire now. I'll get to that one a different day. And you have the Prime Minister of Poland warning that NATO is disintegrating. Well, we knew that. An attack on one means an attack on all hasn't meant anything for years now. The rest of NATO doesn't even attempt to fund their own militaries. We fund it all. And then we're the ones who always get sent in because they don't have standing armies. They have like 20 dudes in a rowboat in Britain and they call it a standing army. It's like, no, that's not a navy. Your navy needs probably a couple aircraft carriers. You used to have the greatest navy in the world. It led to your empire. And now you can't get 20 dudes to fill up a rowboat and defend your own borders. Spain has no military whatsoever, basically. It's all used to promote migration into the rest of the EU. The only one that's somewhat serious over there is Poland. And they want to arm themselves nuclearly because they don't feel that they can depend on anybody else. So yes, NATO is falling apart. It's no surprise to anyone with a room temperature IQ or better. And then you have Canada. Oh, Canada. Trying to join the European Summit. Canada wants to join the EU because they are such a part of Europe. I don't get anything Canada does these days. They just want to be overran, and I don't know why we don't choose to do that ourselves. Like, why don't we just take over the good parts and just leave the rest? Let's take Alberta, let's take Saskatchewan, and just leave the rest. Just cut a chunk out of the middle. Take the good people, the people that have the same values as Americans, and just leave the rest, particularly the French part. Want nothing to do with that. I've heard nothing but bad things about the Quebecois. Don't want them. Sorry, keep your French. We'll take the hard-working rural Canadians. Same ones that drove cattle for years. Maybe it could bring down the beef price if the DOJ can't figure it out themselves. But no, Canada, they want Europe to control them. They want China to control them. Why don't you just want to control yourself? Why don't you want to make way for your own destiny as opposed to depend on others, depend on importing everyone around the world? I guess the U.S. should listen to the same thing because we're heading there quickly. It's like, what's wrong with sovereignty? What's wrong with having an actual nation these days? Well, it's the globalists. Congrats, globalists. I didn't even mean to go there like that. Congratulations, globalists. You are winning. You have conquered Canada. And you have conquered Europe. We can't let it happen here in America. And actually, this story ties well into that as well. I saw this yesterday, and I just said, thank you. It's reported by J.D. Tusile of Reason. He says, America is losing its allure for the world's migrants. Thank goodness. We're full. America's full. We've got land for the people that have been here. Beyond that, we're full. Don't bring your third world culture here. Please. Nobody wants to deal with that. I had to deal with that yesterday. I went out and I go to a restaurant, local restaurant. I'd heard good things about it. Actually, it's a food truck. It's a Haitian food truck. We'll be very specific. And I, go up and I'm trying to figure out what I want to get. Like, I saw some things online. There's like a small menu posted on, like, I believe it was Grubhub, maybe. Might be DoorDash, could be anything. There's like a small menu, and I was like, I want to try Haitian food. Never tried it before. I've heard great things about this restaurant, and I get there and I'm looking on the windows, and I'm like, there's no menu here. So I like walk around to the second window to try and look and see if there's a menu, see if I do in fact want griot, which was actually very good. Can confirm the food there is good. The people that frequented this restaurant, I guess, were not good. I get scoffed at by trying to walk around this woman, we'll just call her woman, who has parked her car directly in front of the window, meaning there's like 3 foot, and I'm just trying to get by her. Rather lazy woman, as she could not use a regular parking spot. She had to pull up right in front of the food truck and just park in front of it, and then scoffs at me for saying excuse me and trying to walk around her, and just to see if I could find a menu, which there was not one. I guess you just got to know what you want from this place. You got to know what they have. If you're in, you're in. This is a club. You're not invited. But no, I just go, you know what, I'll do the griot, order it, got it with black rice, both of which, and plantains, all of which was incredible. Peak lace, whatever that was, great as well. Food was great. The experience of the people that frequented that place, who had rather harsh accents, were not great. Very unfriendly. I don't know if that's the hardening that occurs when you move to South Florida and you live here for a while. I'll admit it's happened to me a little bit. But I still don't scoff at people for trying to find a menu and saying excuse me to get around them. I don't. I think that is just very un-American. Unless you are in New York City, maybe. But I'd still expect at least a little more respect from a New Yorker even. Because you just leech off of my great state for 6 months out of the year. That's a different topic. But no, I'm glad America is losing the allure for the world's migrants. We never should have had this problem. The open borders allowed it. The H-1B visa allows it. The doing anything but hiring Americans to work in America and paying them fair wages in which they can live in America and pursue the American dream. Anything but that. Anything but that. It's like, thank goodness we are losing the allure of everyone of the third world, because I was losing my allure of third worldists as well. It's like, if you want to come here, fine, but assimilate. Speak the language. It's like the dude from the Kentucky Derby was talking about. I know Puerto Rico is a territory, but he's like, what do you have to say to all the kids of Puerto Rico who want to pursue this dream? And he goes, try to learn English. And I was like, wow, everybody understands this. I mean, I know it's a U.S. territory, but they do speak Spanish. We haven't forced them to speak English yet. But I just thought it was very interesting. His instructions of how to pursue this dream, an American dream. Like the second thing he says, try to learn English. It's not that hard. It's very simple. Try to assimilate. It's not crazy. It's not difficult. It's just what you need to do if you want to live here and pursue the American dream. The American dream does not come in Pashto. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It comes in English. Comes in the King's English with a Southern drawl. That's the way the American dream comes. It doesn't come in Pashto. But yeah. That's that. Let's see. Was there any other topics that I wanted to cover today? I have like a whole nother segment that I'm just going to push to tomorrow because, frankly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this up. Oh, I guess I missed this in part of the earlier thing. I guess it's loosely related. There's actually two things here that I forgot. I get them together and close some of these other things I've already gone through. NATO is disintegrating. Yeah, probably. What else do we have? Got that one. That one's done. Canada and the EU. Good luck. Heard it's not fun from your mother, Great Britain. They wanted to Brexit that place. Okay. I think we start with this one. CNBC reported that at the Berkshire annual meeting recap, Warren Buffett says investing environment is not ideal, and he sees gambling in the markets. He points most of this towards AI and how it has dramatically outpaced any other sector of the economy. I guess I have something else related to this I could pull up. It was a graph posted, I believe, yesterday, showing that data centers are the greatest investment over the last 6 years, even more so than rail yards over 71 years. In the last 6 years, there's been roughly $930 billion invested in data centers. Over the last 71 years, only $550 billion has been invested in U.S. railroads, and that's in third to the interstate highway system, which in the last 37 years has only had $620 billion invested into it over 37 years. Meaning, in the last 6 years, AI has been invested in, and more so than anything else in national history, more so than our highways, our rail, the space station, the Apollo program, F-35 program, the Manhattan Project. That's how much money's being pumped into this. And we don't even know if it's going to work. One of the richest men in the world says, it looks like a gamble. Probably, I mean, there's so many better places that money can be spent other than artificial intelligence. Like I said, there is the U.S. rail system, which is just falling apart. It used to be the way America was built. America was built along railroads. at rail stations, whole towns surrounding a stop on a railway. That's how America was built. We stopped investing in that. We started investing in the interstates, a little more freedom than a rail. And even that is more than $300 billion less than we spent on data centers, on AI, in the last 6 years. It's a method of control. It's big business. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that Warren Buffett comes out and says, it looks like you guys are doing a lot of gambling in AI markets. It's not common sense investment. It's outpacing everything for now, yes, and that's probably because it's subsidized by the US government. It's probably because you, the taxpayers, are paying money to inflate this market, which is used to control you, while the politicians insider trade on it because they know who's about to get that next deal. They know if I'm about to give a deal to Palantir tomorrow, I better buy some stock in it today. I better make that call before 4 o'clock, because when this gets announced tomorrow morning, I'm going to be out on millions of dollars if I don't buy in right now. And then you have the news. I think this one is just rich. Chuck Schumer wants to ban lawmakers and U.S. officials on prediction markets, according to Bloomberg. He says that lawmakers and U.S. officials should no longer be able to be on betting markets. I believe this goes entirely down the chain to U.S. infantrymen, like the one of which who was arrested for betting on the Maduro operation with foreknowledge, because he was in it. He actually went over there and captured Maduro and bet on himself. Like I said, good on him. I see nothing wrong with betting on yourself, especially in that position. Like, why not? I mean, yes, there's operational security, but if you're not worried about it and the people around you aren't worried about it that much, and you're gonna get away with it anyways, it's gonna be a success. Why not? Honestly, just why not? But no, Schumer wants to now ban lawmakers and officials on these prediction markets. Notice he didn't push for stock trading. That's an entirely separate issue. No betting markets, insider stock trading, probably fine. It says that Congress is turning into a casino. It's been like that for forever. Let's see if Chuck Schumer shows up on Unusual Whales. Chuck Schumer. Or would he be... Oh, here we go. Does he actually not even trade? That'd be an incredible development. Or maybe he hasn't done anything recently. Let's see. Keep misspelling. Oh my goodness. Huh. Maybe he doesn't. That'd be a surprise. Let's try one more thing. Maybe it wants me to pay for those. That could be accurate. No trades. Interesting. Maybe he doesn't do it. Maybe he thinks nobody else does it. Oh, his spouse does them all. Of course. Of course. That makes more sense. Okay, but yeah. We're banning Congress from using trading or prediction markets. Will not ban them from stock trading. Cannot get the Pelosi Act passed because that's how everybody makes money there. I mean, there is so much damn corruption. It's actually incredible. I think that's basically everything I wanted to look at today, besides these. I'll save these ones for tomorrow, because it's not, I guess, breaking news. Let's see, has anything come out on Iran since we started? I kind of figured it would just happen right in the middle of the show, like it normally does. If anything huge happens, it happens either right at the end or, yeah, like right at the end or right after I sign off. Well, there seems to be no news about Iran, which I would call good news these days. No news is good news regarding that mess. I guess the Middle East as a whole. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's come out as of recently. At least nothing that's noteworthy. So, I saw this, I guess, earlier. I thought it was kind of funny. McDonald's is going to end self-serve soda fountains at the restaurants by 2032. They called it, what was it? A change in consumer behavior, or changing consumer habits. What do you think that habit is? Is it asking for a water cup and filling it with Sprite? Is that the changing consumer habit? There's also been a report from one of my local Taco Bells talking about a customer being shot over filling up a water cup with soda. Are these the changing consumer habits you're talking about? They're trying to prevent shootings in McDonald's by fry cooks over people stealing soda and water cups. I mean, I don't know. Fix the ice cream machine. Just fix it. Figure it out. There's got to be a way. Well, we know it's a scheme by corporate and the ice cream manufacturer, but that's here nor there. And things they don't want you to know. They also don't want you to have access to the soda machine because you're going to steal soda in the water cup. That is the changing consumer habit. People have just started stealing more now. Anything else that's interesting? Yeah. Reports still say 6. Trump says 7 boats were sunk, which is... Does he even know what's going on over there? I think he's just focused on Cuba now. He's bored with that. He's bored. But yeah, I think that we've covered everything we need to cover. Like I said, we're going to come back online on Kick and Rumble after this for just a couple of minutes. We're going to watch the 60 Minutes segment on Hurricane Helene that aired yesterday. or I guess it's mostly on disaster recovery. And we'll just talk about it. I'll give you some tidbits from my experience, what I've seen from others, because I don't know what, I can't explain what's been going on at 60 Minutes for a long time. Like, it used to be like, I could sit down as a kid and watch 60 Minutes when my parents were watching it, and I'd be like, that's pretty interesting. Like, they're going around the world talking about these things I don't understand yet, but it looks cool. Like, they're hanging out in Africa today, chasing elephants around. Like, this is neat. Now it's just, just silly stuff. 60 Minutes has turned silly. And maybe we'll talk about who may be the blame for that. But yeah, that's after the show. We're going to go through the good news next. Then we're going to go offline. We'll come back on Kick and Rumble exclusively, because I don't want to deal with YouTube on this. And we'll have episode 102.5, which it'll be interesting. Trust me, it'll be interesting, because it needs to be talked about. Just disregard for the truth over there. So make sure you guys are dropping a like on this episode, dropping a like on Rumble, on YouTube, subscribing on Rumble. No, subscribing on YouTube, following on Kick and Rumble. Sorry. Oh, this little short episode after is gonna be something else, isn't it? Making sure you're turning on notifications, sharing the show. Today's a rather important one once again. When you go to the grocery and the bread aisle's empty because the farmers didn't have fertilizer and there's a severe drought and they're selling off all the farms, you're going to be like, whoa, this could be a problem. I don't want to be in the bread lines, but I'm going to be. I'm going to be sat outside of a government building waiting to sign off for my weekly loaf of bread and my block of government cheese. So don't be surprised when that happens. Don't be. Because you can't say I didn't warn you that it is possibly coming sooner than you think. The harvest season is already chalked, and it's not just chalked here. It's chalked around the world because the fertilizer isn't getting there. It's not getting out of the Strait of Hormuz, and we didn't even stockpile it here. We didn't even think to. We know that fertilizer is not going to come out. We didn't think, maybe before we do this, we just get a load of it here because we know we're about to attack Iran. Didn't even cross our minds. Thinking, maybe we should feed our country if we're going to go fight. Maybe guess we're just supposed to go fight on empty stomachs. That way they don't have to feed us anymore. You get blown up by an Iranian drone. You don't have to feed that one anymore. But yeah, make sure you guys are sharing this one, subscribing, following, dropping a like. I appreciate it all. Most importantly, I appreciate you guys sticking around. America needs free-flowing Diet Coke. I'm counting on our president to get that done. I wouldn't count on him to get shit done these days. First of all, it's got to go through Congress. No chance. They all love Diet Coke, probably. They have the body build of people who love Diet Coke. Take that for what it is. President Trump says, I've never seen a skinny person drinking Diet Coke. I think he's the one who said that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they'd all love it for themselves. You could probably get that done for Congress. They all get a Diet Coke button at their desks that they refuse to get anything done at the Capitol building. They get one at their office, one at the Capitol building. They have a Diet Coke button just for themselves. They could probably get that done. For the rest of us, you're going to starve. You're going to be thirsty and you're going to be hungry. And the best I can offer you is a data center in your backyard. I hope it's what you wanted. We want free-flowing Diet Coke. Well, here's your data center. It's very loud. It's poisoning your water. I hope you're thankful. I hope you're thankful. But yeah, we're going to go into the good news right now. We're looking at the book of James, chapter 1, verse 2. I think we'll go all the way through 18. It says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to him. But when he asks, he must believe and not doubt, because he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That man should not think he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all he does. The brother in humble circumstances ought to take pride in his high position, but the one who is rich should take pride in his low position, because he will pass away like a wildflower. For the sun rises with scorching heat and withers the plant. Its blossom fails and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich man will fade away even while he goes about his business. Blessed is a man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God promised to those who love him. When tempted, no one should say, 'God is tempting me,' for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when by his own evil desire he is dragged away and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Don't be deceived, my dear brothers. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits of all he created." Have faith. Have faith in the Lord. He will provide. I guess pray for rain. Pray for a lot of it. Not a flood. He said he wouldn't flood us again. He's a good God. But pray and have faith. Ask. Ask and you will receive. But you have to have faith behind when you ask the Lord. Have faith that he will fulfill your asks, your needs, your wants. Not all your desires, but that he will deliver what you need. In this case, it could be rain. It could be stability in this world. It could be you receiving Jesus. It could be anything, but you have to have faith in the Lord that he will provide it. You can't just pray and think, oh, well, God can't do that. He can. It says, "Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows." He's a perfect Lord, and he does fulfill your needs. He doesn't tempt you. He doesn't lead you astray. That's sin. That's the devil. The devil is the one that causes doubt in these prayers, in your prayers. And you can't pray like that. You've got to have faith that the good Lord above will fulfill your needs, what you need. And we need a lot these days. We need rain in a lot of America. We need leadership that is inspired by God. We need peace. We need food. We need a lot. We need a saving of this country. We need a saving of ourselves. That's what we need. But we've got to ask and we've got to believe when we pray. Prayer works. It really does. I've seen it firsthand in my life. It's why I started this entire segment. It's because I prayed. I was like, I'd like to see a sign that it's all going to be all right. And then 30 minutes later, not even, I see the exact same thing I prayed for. It works. It works. I have a first-hand account, many in my life, that it works. You just got to believe that the Lord has power to do these things, because he does. He's loving, he's forgiving, and he's all powerful, and he can do it. You've just got to ask and you shall receive. But you must believe he can do it, because he can. If you're listening to the devil while you pray, why would God fulfill those asks? Those are in vain. But yeah, I think we might continue with more of that part of James tomorrow, because I was reading through it and I just couldn't stop. I was like, this is good. This is really good stuff. It gives you a lot of hope for what feels like a hopeless moment, but you've got to have faith in the Lord. And through that, you're not hopeless. You're anything but. But yeah, that's all we have for today. Make sure you're dropping a like, subscribing, following, sharing this episode, sharing the channel. Getting the word out. Not only does it inform other people who may not have time to do this research themselves, but also helps me out in getting into the algorithm and allowing me to just do it myself. And then I'll be able to stop asking you guys to share it. But until then, I do need your help. Sharing these, liking these, subscribing. All the numbers go into the silly algorithm. And I am fighting it, trying to bring the truth to you guys, what's actually going on, what the media doesn't touch. As if everybody knew this, I don't know, maybe, there would be panic, but we'd actually start looking for a solution to this. If nobody knows, out of sight, out of mind, until it is in your sight at the grocery store when the bread's gone. There's no vegetables, there's no fruits, no peanuts, zero, zip, 100% in drought. I guess that only affects the part of the population that doesn't have a peanut allergy, but ever decreasing. You can wonder why that is all you want. I have my assumptions. But yeah, I appreciate you guys most importantly for just sticking around, watching to the end. Like I said, we're going to have a bonus episode here in probably 10-15 minutes. I'm going to get a water and get prepared. It's about I believe a 13-ish minute video. And we're going to watch 13-minute segment from 60 Minutes on disaster relief. And we'll just talk about it a little bit, because it just shows you how downhill the media's all gone. Which I hope you all enjoyed. I'll be back shortly for that. I'll ask one more time, please share the channel. I really appreciate it. Most importantly, you guys that stick around to the end are the most appreciated. I appreciate everyone, but some more than others. Not my Fairweather fans. They don't get the same regard you all do. But yeah, we'll sign off here, and we'll pick back up in about 15 minutes with that. Because you've got to see it if you haven't yet. It is bizarro world. But yeah, tell my people. Oh, before I sign off, remember that it's only going to be on Kick and Rumble. It's not going to be on YouTube. We're turning off the YouTube for that time. and we'll just only have it on Rumble and Kick. So yeah, if you want to come back and watch that, don't look for YouTube. It won't be there. But I'm going to try and figure out some things on my end so that we can make this happen. Like I said, probably 15 minutes, maybe a little longer. We'll be back with that. So to my people on the East Coast, I hope you get home safe. To my people further west, I hope you finish up your workday strong and get home safe as well. I'll talk to you guys sooner than normal, but we'll be back tomorrow. Should be back at least 4:45. If you don't want to watch that, if you've already seen it, you've already had your mind melted, I'll see you tomorrow. If you guys want to come back, Kick and Rumble, probably 15 minutes. We'll be back on there, and we'll go through this, whatever is happening on 60 minutes. See you guys.